105 wants to 1025. Yep. 5314. JJ 1821 1028.
Alright, and we're back. Welcome to this episode of the exceL podcast, coming to you from the Omen House on the outskirts of London. I'm your host, John. I'm joined by Managing Director of exceL Esports, Kieran Holmes-Darby.
Hello.
Alongside Alex, Fern, and President Business himself, Ryan Barnett. That'll make sense if you stay tuned for the next Behind the Screens. We've also got a special guest with us this week, Dom Sacco, Content Director for the British Esports Association and the founder of Esports News UK.
Hello.
One quick admin thing. We almost escaped the admin, but unfortunately Alex made me a liar last week. So our Victor guide is coming out this week on Friday.
Yeah.
Crewmail's Victor. Still waiting for that. I haven't done any solo queue in preparation.
No.
Okay, so we put out a poll of what you want us to talk about with Dom as well. And so the top of that poll was gaming houses in the UK. So that's where we're going to start. And I'd like to come to you first, Dom, because you've obviously had some experience with some other gaming houses as well as this. So do you maybe want to give us like a brief history of gaming houses in the UK?
Yeah, I'll do my best. I mean, I'll be honest, this is the first gaming house I've visited in person, which is great. Where I am down in the southeast, can't always get out too far, but this was ideal in Reading. Yeah, there's been a number of orgs that have sort of tried to get going with gaming houses in the past few years. We've had Endpoint, who've had a couple of houses. I think they've still got one open. M&M Gaming had a house for a temporary time during the EU Challenger Series in League of Legends. And then you've had other orgs as well, like Torpedo back in the day. Had a house for their Gears of War team, but they've been, I think it's fair to say, few and far between over the years. They're not on the level yet where you have, you've got the gaming houses in Berlin for the League of Legends LCS, and I'm sure there's other houses around the world. NA, you've got loads of houses.
So I don't actually know this. Have Endpoint got a full-time gaming house then?
I believe so, yeah. I think the Counter-Strike one is still going. And they had a Rocket League one as well.
Yeah, they had a Rocket League and a Counter-Strike one. They don't have a Rocket League team anymore. The Rocket League one was in Sheffield, and the CS:GO one's somewhere like this on the outskirts of London.
Yeah.
But I think they're still running the CS:GO one. I'm pretty confident they're still running the CS:GO one. So I think that's the only other one.
So I mean, we've talked about this briefly before. It's definitely something we all think we'll see more and more of. Is it something that you think can work in the way that the UK scene is at the moment? Do you think that it's something that is actually really viable to sort of invest in?
I think we're getting there. I think it's an education thing. I think for a lot of orgs or bedroom orgs, they might see gaming houses and think that's outside our area because we don't have the expertise or the funding to get it up and running, and they might look down at other orgs like yourselves and think, oh, that's not fair, when actually these guys are showing that it's possible. And, if you get out there with the sponsors, you get the right funding, then there's no reason why we can't have more houses in the future. I think as more tournaments take place here and the prize pools increase, or just as the ecosystem grows, I think we'll see more of them in the future. It's like esports cafes as well, and pubs. We've seen more of them over the past few years. Eden in Leeds, and there's a few in London, and Meltdowns. It's just that culture shift. It's going to take a bit of time.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see more of them. I'd like to think we will, because there are benefits.
Yeah.
Lots of benefits from it.
Okay, cool. So we've got some questions from Twitter. So these first ones come from @CounterfeitCasts. So thank you very much for the questions. The first one, which is for anyone, first come, first served. What do you feel are the important facets of the most successful gaming houses? So maybe Fern is probably best to answer this, as you've been to several different gaming houses. What is the sort of common themes of these things need to be right and then everything sort of trickles down? Is there?
I think it needs to have a very good kind of top-down approach, where at the top it's managed properly and everything's considered, then the right staff are in place to actually kind of do the day-to-day running of that, and then the players are the benefactors of the good management, basically. But the backroom staff, I think, is like the most the key influences on the day-to-day, how well the house is run and how well the kind of structure and schedule is put in place.
Yeah, I think for me it's important to get the right kit here.
So obviously we've been really lucky with the sponsorship that we've landed with Omen, with the kit, that's not been a problem. But outside of getting that, I think my answer is quite cute. I think my answer is employ these two. Because for me, it's just been so nice to be able to just set something up, give this project to these guys, and they've just, they've taken to it. I mean, obviously it helps that Fern's had some experience, but Ryan has taken to this like a fish to water, and they've been fantastic. And the gaming house runs like clockwork. The schedule's always in place. It's taken some time. I think it's safe to say to get the right schedule. Yeah. But now when I come here, which is only feel the need to come here once a week for stuff like this, I know that the whole time I'm not here, that everything's running smoothly. So.
It was a bit of a weird one, right? Because I left exceL back in January 2017. Yeah, to go off to Spain and live in a gaming house there, because that didn't exist here. And at the time, it felt like I was leaving the UK scene, I was leaving exceL, and I actually quite liked I really liked the org and the people and so on and so forth. But I was moving on to try and develop my coaching career, and that has kind of come around full circle and actually benefited exceL and myself. And we're back here, and I've got more experience than I otherwise would have if I stayed at the time. So, it was a really weird one, that, for me.
And the house is clean.
Well, it's like it's like anything really. It's like it's very much like your first house at uni. Really, it feels like it can devolve to that.
That's I think that's what I compare it to the most, is like a first year house
With a manager.
With a manager.
It needs to not be that, but that's what it starts.
So you have a first year house, but instead of a first year house, you have someone being like, right, you got to clean your dishes now. Because if you didn't do that, they just wouldn't do it. Like it's as simple as that. Because they're still kids at the end of the day, and their still primary aim is to be the best they can as League of Legends, and that doesn't equate to washing up.
They've never done it before either, right? Like they rely on parents a lot at home.
Yeah,
they've never had to use the dishwasher or the washing machine or clean their own clothes or cook actual nutritious meals. But now we've got to pizza, so we're getting there.
That's got vegetables on it sometimes.
Okay, so we're going to come to another question from Counterfeit Cast again. Where would you like to see gaming houses evolve in the future? And I would sort of tag on to that. Is there something that we're looking in a couple of years that's slightly different from this model that we're currently using? Or is it something that we just want to see more of these?
I think our end goal is to have like a working space, like an office, and then also have like places where the players live. I know there's been like some controversy. I think Oda Wemney, like we mentioned last week, did a piece on it. Whether that is a living space that's provided by the organisation, or whether that's a living space like you just would if you go to work. You have your own house. Obviously, as a result, we'll see kind of salary structures change as that comes in. But yeah, I think the evolution needs to be where people go to work to do it. They stay there for however many days and however many hours, and it needs to be a kind of living and working space where it's completely separate.
Yeah, I mean, this just makes so much sense in loads of ways we've mentioned in previous podcasts and whatnot, from loads of different angles. But for the players, it's free accommodation, it's free lodging, which there are almost not many jobs where you can achieve that. And then outside of that, you obviously get your monthly retainer or salary, whatever you want to call it. And it just makes so much sense for an esports team, which is why gaming houses are so popular. But I think I personally like to think when it comes to gaming houses, we've done everything right. I think there isn't much more you can do really with a gaming house than we've done. Ryan and Fern will experience some things over the next coming months where they might say, we could do this better, of course. But in general, I think we've nailed it. The next step is something else, and it does make me happy when I watch like YouTube videos of like Optic and people like that who did their first gaming houses, and there's Nade Shot sitting there in like a sun lounger playing COD, and it looks so budget. And to think that when we've done it for the first time, we've done it better than someone like Optic did it. I think that's just awesome, and for me,
it's all about just learning from all the other experiences.
100%,
right?
100%, and we've learned from all those experiences, and I think there is another level to get to. But for now, where we're at, I mean, I think we're surpassed where we should be theoretically. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna pivot back to some of the slightly more normal stuff that we go over just to keep everyone up to date and informed, and then we will come back to more like UK esports kind of stuff. So I want to talk about results. So first we'll go for some Gfinity results tournament started. Alex, do you want to take this?
It was a rough week in the Elite Series. Oh dear. To start with, our Rocket League team had a bye week, which in a way is kind of unfortunate. We have a new big player in the form of Marky Duda, who'd been really nice to see.
That's the good news we got in the exceL Gfinity.
We
We got a bye.
We didn't have to play this week.
So we can look forward to seeing them play in this coming weekend, which will be really nice. However, on the FIFA front, we had a couple really unfortunate games, but we lost both of them, unfortunately.
3-2 Painter lost and 2-1
2-1
Kev lost. So
yeah.
After going 1-0 up.
Kev went 1-0 up and then conceded 2 goals in the space of like 30 seconds and ended up losing. Painter kept basically being put a goal behind and eventually couldn't catch up. So that was really, really rough. And if you haven't already, I made a little doc around Painter on the day. Bits of things I'm really happy with it, bits of things I'm less happy with it, but it's still definitely worth a watch, in my opinion, as the guy who made
isn't
it.
it? 2 goals in a few minutes.
We don't bring sports politics into this. How have I come into my own game now with 2 Arsenal fans on the panel? This is ridiculous.
3 Arsenal fans.
Oh, 3 Arsenal fans. Oh my god.
It's all on track.
Bloody
And this is
handsome.
what we'll talk about for the rest of the podcast.
Oh, how has exceL come to this?
How do we get so far? FIFA.
FIFA.
FIFA, that's very well.
Okay,
Oh, wait, hold on. He's still got another result.
We've still got Street Fighter, which
Street
is probably the biggest shock to the system, where Nordavind coming into the tournament, I think everyone would agree, are probably the strongest team. They have Phenom, who's second best player in Europe, arguably, and a couple other really strong players there, like Momi.
Salty kid as well.
Yeah, and Salty Kid, who played a recent last
He's just
couple
got
seasons.
massive balls and he plays with massive balls. He
Yeah.
takes risks that no one expects him to take and he's just in your face the whole time.
And he-
So
I think it was a bit of a shock to our system for our roster as well. They obviously.
So
I'd say
so that's what I was going to say. So long and short of it,
We lost 4-0, which is quite shocking, because we haven't lost 4-0 as far as we can work out ever in the Elite
no.
Series.
So the way it works is it's a best of 7. Each player plays twice. One player will play 3 times. And obviously it's first to 4 essentially. And we got clean swept, which I didn't expect. I mean, if you told me beforehand that you knew we were going to lose, I wouldn't have been surprised by that. Like Nordavind are, in my opinion, probably going to win the whole thing. It's between us and Nordavind, in my opinion. So if we're getting 4-0 by them, they're probably going to stomp everyone else, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I think we'll be fine as the season goes on.
I agree.
In Street Fighter.
I think 4-0 was kind of an unfair score for how the individual matches went as well.
Oh no, we didn't get stomped necessarily in the individual matches.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, so then in slightly more optimistic news, we'll go over ESL.
Yeah, we did very well, right? We had
Raise the governors twice.
3
Not
games
lost
since
the
the last podcast.
right?
Yeah.
So we had M&M and then Raise Your Governors twice.
Yeah.
Or no?
Can't remember which one was where the podcast fit in that.
Yeah, but anyway, our last 3 games we've won very convincingly, all 3 games. We had 2 series against Raise Your Governors, both Monday and Tuesday. We dropped out 4 kills total off 2 perfect games.
4 kills off a perfect series.
They took no towers, no drakes, no
And
barons,
we've
nothing.
got is one more game of the regular season.
One more game of the regular
Misfits.
season against Misfits, so a really big one, much harder task than what we faced in the last week.
And that's on this coming
Sunday.
Sunday,
If anyone
yes.
wants to
It's
tune in.
more a pride game, you'd say.
It
Yeah.
depends.
I mean,
No, they beat.
No,
They're now top of our group,
Yep.
and we are confirmed second. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the result doesn't mean that much, apart from more for us that are kind of measurement of our level right now.
I think
from
from
going into
now
playoffs.
until playoffs, it's simply about improvement. It's about us growing as much as we can. I think we secured playoffs like a week ago because of how the other 2 teams in our group did. We have to wait and see if we face Enclave or Diabolus in playoffs. I think there's no real massive skill disparity between them, so I think either way it's going to be a very, very tough game.
They went 1-1 with each other when they played against each other, right? We
Yeah.
beat Enclave, but we lost to Diabolus, so technically maybe Enclave favours a bit more because we already know how to beat them. But either way, we just got to be our best by the time playoffs come around.
We just need to beat what's ever in front of us, and that's what we're
whatever
trying
it
to do.
is, all the way up to the final.
Is it sorry, it's a question. Is it best of threes, best of fives?
Playoffs are best of threes.
Yeah.
All the way to the final as well? Is
I
best of
think
three?
Best
I
of
think
five, the
final will
final
probably be
wins.
a best of five.
So
But I don't,
semi-finals, best threes as well.
Yeah,
think so.
everything will be
I
best
don't
of
have
three, I
confirmation
imagine.
on that.
I mean, last
Usually
year it was
are,
best
aren't
of
they?
three up until the final, and then best of five. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's all the exceL results news out of the way. So we're going to bring Dom back in and start talking about our next voted topic on the Twitter poll we did, which is the future of UK esports. So I'd like to start with you're the content director for the British Esports. I was going to say something else. The British Esports Association. So what is it that you do as part of that organisation? Maybe what's the organisation in general?
Yeah, so British Esports Association was set up a couple of summers ago by Chester King, who's got a good background in traditional sports. Basically, he got the idea because his son was going to bed at silly o'clock. What are you doing? Playing Call of Duty? I want to be in a team, this, that and the other. And he realised he didn't have really anywhere to get information from. Esports has been so specialist and endemic, it's hard for parents to find out information. So he wanted to help educate other parents.
Yeah, and I mean, players always get it like through the games, right?
Yeah,
exactly. So he wanted a resource, and originally I think he had the idea of setting up a governing body. Soon realised you can't really govern esports because the publishers and developers own the games and so on, and the tournaments. So why not set up a not-for-profit national body set up to promote and support grassroots esports, to shout about the talent we've got. And I think we've been doing that quite well. We've got a good website. I do a lot of the content there, so advice on careers, how to get into esports, talking to a lot of the pros and the top British players. We're doing a British Esports Championships pilot at the moment in schools and colleges, which has been really well received. That's in League of Legends, Overwatch and Project Cars 2. We're hoping to launch the full league championships this September for the academic year 2017-2018.
Awesome.
We've got a good advisory board with us, the likes of Red Eye, OD from Team Dignitas, and lots of different people.
Right?
exCoundrel. We tried to get one
him.
person from each area of focus, so like a caster, a host, an org manager, and so on. And we've got game advisors as well, because we can't possibly have all the great knowledge. It's 30, 40 plus esports games. We have different game advisors there. And it's been really positive. We've done infographics on like the benefits of esports and age guides.
Mostly targeted at people who want to get into esports, or for people who just want to find out more about it?
A bit of both, really. So our focus is anything below pro at the moment, grassroots up. So schools, educating parents, teachers, children, people that don't know about esports, educating the media, the government. Chester has good links with people and businesses and things. So we're really trying to help push esports forward in Britain.
How has the response been when going into schools? Because I would assume the kids are generally on board, but like from a teachers and staff point of view, like they don't really want to be seen pushing computer games in a way.
Well, you say that, but I think because the coding curriculum came in a few years back, teachers are a little bit switched on now with technology, and they've seen how exciting esports is. They've seen that it can offer careers and viable career paths and benefits. We held a pilot at Maida Vale Library last year, and it was an after-school kids club. I think there were a couple of kids there that learning difficulties or a little bit quiet and insular. By the end of the 2-hour session playing Rocket League, they came out of their shells. They were communicating with the other kids. We need to show that gaming isn't that stereotype it was 20 years ago, playing by yourself, no social skills. It's super social. You go to a LAN and the players are interacting with each other, and so it's been really positive actually. And I want to say a quick shout out as well to UKI, the UK games industry body. They're doing an initiative with Digital Schoolhouse, which is a similar thing, but it's for certain schools. To be a digital schoolhouse you need certain criteria. What we're doing is open to all schools, but they had their regional playoffs yesterday at Game Belong Kingston, and that was fantastic to see all the kids. I interviewed an all-girls team who beat all the boys in their sixth form, and they're like 13, 14 years old, and we're pushing forwards, there's so much to shout about, and I think in a few years' time we're going to have loads of esports clubs in schools, hopefully hundreds of schools across Britain. And then where do they go after school? They might be interested in university esports, the Newell. They might look to Gfinity Elite Series or the ESL Prem and so on, and we can act as a feeder. So we're all about pushing esports together,
I think that social aspect you just mentioned is so important, because even LANs, we all love going to LANs, and that's kind of where we all share a love of video games at those things. But even from sitting in my bedroom, I will play with 6 of my mates who I don't get to see very often, and I'll interact with them, and that's how I still bond with my brother. Like that's how I bond with my friends, is playing video games together.
Yeah.
We have a right laugh. I cry myself laughing playing Rocket League with my mates. Like it's great. And yes, also I like going for beers with them sometimes and seeing them face to face. But
Yeah.
you just don't sometimes have time, especially if they're across the country in other countries. Like it's just a way to keep sociable.
The thing is that the internet and games in general, like I've met my group of friends through League of Legends, like, and been like really close friends with them for 6 years. We go to LANs every year. Like, I think people underestimate it because it still has that stigma attached to it.
We do stuff outside. You do stuff outside of just the game as well.
Exactly,
You
you become friends with
You go on
people,
holidays
yeah.
and things with these people,
Yeah.
and you do not stuff that's just within the game. It's much bigger than that.
You write drama articles about them and annoy them.
It's the same as when like people show love of football clubs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they become mates and they go to games together. It's exactly the same as that. But It's
Yeah.
just not seen in the mainstream like that. But
common
it will be,
interest.
it will
We'll
be.
get there.
It will be, it will
The
be.
media are getting better. BBC,
Yeah.
Guardian, all the publications, they're getting better. There's still some nonsense you see in drivel, and shout out to Paul Challoner, Red Eye on Twitter, because he's keeping watch on a lot of these media and publications, and if they write a load of tripe, we'll rightly call it out.
Yeah.
We need to keep
Yeah.
doing that because they won't learn until
That's
we
really
do.
good, because I always assumed when people would ask me like, is esports going to be as big as sports, I would say probably not, because you're never going to be in a situation where people are actually going to be like promoting people to play video games. But if the attitude is starting to change, I mean that's absolutely massive, right, going forward.
ITV mugged me off actually. They shout out to ITV.
Is this going to turn into one of the rant sections?
This is Kieran's rant. They did an interview with me at iSeries, and I got Dan to do the interview as well. It was a guy, and he said to me, "I want to do an interview. I don't know where it's going yet, but I'll be selling it to lots of broadcasters." I was like, "No problem. Just let me know which broadcaster selling it to, and let me see it before it goes." He was like, "No problem." Next thing I know, he's not sent me anything. Dan is on ITV. My bit got cut. But Dan's bit, they used Dan. He gave a great interview, and then they shoot to an overweight kid getting food delivered to his table.
Not an esports player.
Not an esports player. It was BYOC, and that's what they used as their this is esports.
Because they don't understand esports, they think
I
it's
was like,
gaming.
what?
People are saying esports. I have countless people calling us at British Esports saying, "I want to host a grassroots tournament. I want to get into esports." I had a golf club call us a few months ago, saying I want to get into it. I was thinking of just putting a golf a PlayStation in the lounge area and people can play. I was like, that's not esports.
That's not esports.
But it's not. I'm not having a go at them.
yeah.
We need to
There's
educate
gaming,
them.
There's gaming and there's esports.
Yeah, I mean
right?
there is no reason why they would know that. In a way.
But this is my other thing as well. Some people say esports is only the pro game. I don't necessarily agree with that, because
No, it's not. Only
it's not. If I play FIFA against my mate on the sofa and it's a competitive game and we want to win, that is competitive video gaming. That's a form of esports. It's grassroots, don't get me wrong, but it's a form of esports. The schools piece that you're doing, that's a form of esports. It's not the pro game, but it's a form of esports. Any competitive video gaming where there is a team-based, or it can be if it's a 1v1 game where you want to win, in my opinion, is esports.
And that's why it disappointed me the other week. I read an article, I won't name names, but it was a major newspaper website, and they had a specialist writer, not a non-esports person, writing about this. What is esports? They said anything at the professional level, and I was thinking, no, that's not the case, because there's a great
there are some
grassroots scene.
organisations in esports that say that, and I just don't agree with that.
You can have local tournaments with your friends, and for a quid.
To me, that's
still
like
esports.
saying Sunday league football isn't football.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Anybody, literally any adult can sign up to an adults football team to go play on a Sunday in your local football field. That's still football.
But if I'm
competitive.
doing this is the only difference for me. Is if I'm doing keepy uppies in my back garden,
that's not
it's
that's
not
sport.
it's not competitive, it's not
No.
sport. It's still football, but it's not sport, right? So if I'm playing World of Warcraft and just running around killing wolves, I'm gaming.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing.
Unless you break the
esports.
world record to kill whatever it was the
Well,
other week,
yeah.
20,000.
Unless it's competitive. Like,
Unless it's competitive, a competitive element.
I
It's gaming.
definitely broke some RuneScape records back in the day. I was doing esports.
But can I just say as well, the person who called me from that golf club, they weren't to know. But
Yeah, of course.
people in the media, they have a responsibility.
Yeah,
it's
of
easy
course.
for me
It's
to
just
say.
a lack
I'm
of
an esports
understanding
journalist.
and education, isn't it?
They have a responsibility to do their research. That goes out to all the journalists, specialists, or national publications or whatever. In time, they will get there. I don't want to have a go at them.
But you know what's even better than having to go out there is that you can also just come straight to the exceL website, where probably by the time this podcast goes out, we will have a What is Esports page. We already have a What is Esports video. It's done really well on LinkedIn.
That's good.
We've put paid media behind it. We really want to push that education. It's something important to us, and we're now going to have a dedicated point on our website for that. So
you can get to find that information.
Grandmas, anyone, like
I sent it to my mum.
we put it on Facebook. Share it on Facebook with your families.
No idea
because
what
it's
I do.
honestly, like, I think it's so much easier for people to get into something when it's just like
Yeah.
60 seconds.
You know, if you compare that to 3 years ago or how 4 years ago, if I'd go on a website like yours, it wouldn't have that kind of thing. It's good that orgs like yourselves are recognising. Let's increase the awareness together.
Yeah.
Other orgs I've seen doing it as well, and that's good. We're all helping together, you know.
And I'm quite as good as us, obviously. But
I have to be impartial to everyone, but I am at your house for that. So.
Okay, cool. So basically then,
I have 2 other questions.
go on
for
then.
Dom. Two questions just for Dom.
Be quick.
Be very quick. Number 1, why have I not been invited to a British Esports Association panel yet?
Panel?
You know, when you do the old
advisory board.
boards.
Well, we've got Odie is our representative from Orgs, or he founded Team
Okay.
Dignitas'
Oh.
UK founder. We are
Slightly
thinking,
more well-known,
we are thinking of doing a more
You're managing director.
grassroots UK one, because Team Dig now is on the stratosphere,
Not
you know, it's
really
global.
UK anymore.
Yeah.
Technically not. It founded it. I mean, Odie's still here, so there is some operations here. I've said to I'll talk to the guy. I've said to them anyway. It might be good to get someone from a semi-amateur or UK grassroots level to come on the board, because it will have a different perspective to Odie.
And what's your second question
And
then?
my second question, very quickly, is who is going to win the ESL UK Prem?
It's a good question.
Bear in mind you're in our house.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking it's
We're providing
basically-
you water.
My view is any team that can make it, that makes it to the playoffs, can win. I think anyone can win. I've seen upsets happen in the past. I can't remember who it was 2-3 years ago. Someone beat Choke Gaming in the semi-final, I think it was. I can't remember now, but that was an upset.
Yeah.
People didn't expect it. Anything can happen in the playoff. Previous form goes out the window. It's like a cup competition,
Yeah.
isn't it? So it's hard for me to say. You're the current holders, so for me the pressure is on you guys, right, to retain that. So there's an advantage to that and a disadvantage. People saying we're facing the champions. They have pressure as well. Obviously, like I think Misfits and Wind and Rain have come in and performed very, very well.
Yeah.
They have, Misfits especially, that extra infrastructure, which makes it harder for guys like yourselves. But it's good to be playing against those top orgs. You know, there was rumours of Fnatic.
Standard's been great.
Yeah.
Very
So it's hard to say. If I had to pick, I'd probably say Misfits, but like I say, anyone can win. And I'm not favouring anyone.
That's
Fair enough.
You know,
That's fair
but if someone beats Misfits, what a story that is.
Yeah.
They've beaten this top org with some top players. They do have players from the UK scene though as well. Previously, so they're not high and mighty
No,
Korean players, the greatest thing in the world. So watch your space, I guess. But you guys have every chance.
Cool. I think that's a great time to end. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And leave us a comment down below. We're going to keep doing these like Twitter polls and stuff like that because we want to get you guys involved. So we'll just keep an eye out on this space, basically. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.